Since the First World War, Australia has been an infantry-focused force. Infantrymen and infantrywomen, they're very physically fit, they're very smart, and the emphasis is on going forward and seizing ground. But in the future wars, what we're seeing, is that range and precision are increasing. And we've known for a long time that you can put a cruise missile through somebody's window. And if they can spot you, and we see this in Ukraine, we're also able to sense a lot of things, either from satellites high up in the sky or lower level sensors across all spectrums of the electromagnetic. You can see so much that you may not be able to process it fast enough. And that combination means that, with the ranges of present day weapons, there's no rear, there's no front, it's all just a combat zone, and no one can feel particularly safe. And so we also need people who understand how to strike at a distance, how to operate, UAVs and drones. And they may be some distance from the front lines. They may not be in some muddy hole, which requires a fair degree of endurance. They may be in some basement someplace, managing these things. It opens up your defense force to different kinds of people who were not able or were not considered assets, usable soldiers in the past. So these days you might need somebody with, very nimble thumbs, as they are able to control, that controller, and they're not marching anywhere. Or the same thing with the ability to analyze lots and lots of data and pick out the connections in discrete sets, and be able to then inform the commander, this is what's happening. So there's skill sets that, can be employed by, people who look like me, although younger. They can be employed by a larger number of women, because the physical fitness requirements, there's not going to be, close combat, fighting with your bayonet. It's probably not going to happen. And in fact, you can probably start employing a lot of people as civilians who are quasi-military and who are conducting military tasks, but they're no longer in uniform. And they're working at a terminal, analyzing data, figuring out where to strike. They'll still be subject to some degree of military requirements, although maybe you'll be able to work remotely from home and release a Hellfire missile while watching television. These are the kind of things that become more possible in our heavily interconnected world, in which you can sense and strike at great distances. Now, what gets in the way of that happening is the natural tendency of a military organization to want to control, to exert downward pressure on individual initiative. And they have to find that balance. And the military calls that mission command. So as long as you're working towards the known objective, you can pretty much do it. But often that is ignored by the senior commanders or the chain of command, and even the politicians who want to reach down and do that. So they have to resist the temptation to reach down and let very junior personnel or even civilians make life and death decisions. And that's a cultural problem. But I could foresee a future where we have a uniformed group of warriors who might like to still call themselves warriors, and then another group of people who are very much involved in pursuing a military operation, but they happen to be public servants.